The big space meeting room was full. Aliens from 17 powerful space groups sat in the star-shaped room. They came for their 100-year meeting. The room was made from one big space rock. It had amazing tech stuff from all the alien groups. Everyone watched the new group asking to join, humans from Earth. The space aliens had watched humans for many years. They all agreed. Humans were strange. Humans could be fierce but also scared a lot. This made humans hard to predict. The aliens thought this made humans dangerous. John Miller stood in front of all the aliens. He was a man with gray-streaked hair and a strong face. He was 50 years old. As Earth speaker, he felt nervous, but he looked calm. "Thank you for letting us speak today," John said in a clear voice. The crystal alien, who sparkled when it moved, waved its arms to stop him. "We have watched your people for a long time. Your kind runs away from storms. You leave when volcanoes might blow up. You even avoid animals instead of controlling them." Many aliens nodded and made noise to show they agreed. The smoke alien, who looked like fog in a bubble, spoke next. "Real brave people face danger head-on. Your careful ways are just a nice way to say you're scared." John stayed calm, but his jaw tightened. "We call it staying alive, respected smoke alien. We pick which fights matter." "Yes," said the bug alien, whose mouth parts clicked like scissors. "You pick so carefully that you hardly ever fight at all." While the aliens kept saying mean things, Dr. Kate Wilson leaned close to John. Her red hair was tied back and her smart green eyes watched everything. "They're trying to make you angry," she whispered. "Remember why we're here?" John gave a small nod. Earth needed friends in space. They had found something scary with their space tools, something even these smart aliens hadn't seen. "Space Council members," John said, "being careful isn't the same as being scared. Our careful ways helped us go from cave people to space travelers. In just 10,000 years, as fast as many of your own people. Some aliens seem to accept this, but the crystal alien wasn't done. But when real danger comes, will your careful ways help the galaxy? We need members who will stand strong against space dangers." John looked at Ben Jackson, the military man in their group. The tall black man gave a tiny nod. It was time to tell them. "Speaking of space dangers," John said carefully, "our space watchers have found something strange in Section 9 of space. We think someone needs to check it right away." The room got very quiet. The leader alien, who was just energy in, a floating metal ball, spoke for the first time. "Section 9 has been fine for thousands of years. What proof do you have?" Kate stepped forward and turned on a floating picture. "If I may show you our findings." The data floated in the air. Strange energy readings, gravity problems, and math. Pictures that told a scary story. As the aliens looked at the information, they stopped being so mean and started looking worried. "If this is true, it shows a space tier forming where many people live," the bug alien said, its mouth parts clicking faster. "That's what we think," John agreed, "and we already have a plan to help." The smoke alien swirled around faster, looking upset. "That's crazy. A people who barely know how to travel in space can't fix a space tier. Such problems need all council races working together." Ben finally spoke up, his deep voice calm but strong. "With respect, while you all talk about it, we've already sent a research ship. The Earth ship Discovery left Earth 3 weeks ago. All the aliens started yelling and making noise." "You sent a ship toward a possible space tear?" the crystal alien asked loudly. "Without asking us? Without proper protection? Without waiting for permission to save lives?" John cut in firmly. "Yes." The leader's metal ball glowed brighter. "Mr. Miller, doing things without asking breaks many rules." "Maybe," John admitted. "But rules won't matter if the space tier gets too big. The Discovery has our best scientists and our best tech. If there's even a small chance they can get important information or stop the problem, the risk is worth it." The room filled with loud debate. Some aliens said humans were too reckless, while others seemed to secretly admire what they did. Through all the noise, John, Kate, and Ben stood together looking determined. When the meeting ended without a decision, the humans went back to their rooms. Once they were alone, Kate let her professional face drop. "Did you see how they looked?" she asked, pushing her hair back. They're scared, but not of the space tier. They're afraid we might fix a problem they didn't even know was there. Ben nodded with a grim face. People who get too advanced often lose their edge. They forget that sometimes acting even when you're scared is the only choice. John looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Discovery and its crew of 63 brave people were heading into unknown danger. Now we wait, he said quietly, and hope that our scared ways save the day. Lisa Brown stood on the bridge of the Earthship Discovery. She watched her crew work hard at their jobs. Lisa was 40 years old with short blonde hair. She had become captain fast because she made good choices and never gave up. Her face looked young, but her eyes showed she carried heavy duties. "Tell me what's happening," she asked calmly, even though everyone felt scared since they entered Section 9 of space. Jack White, the ship's science man, looked up from his screen. His fingers had been moving fast over the controls for hours. He looked young but tired. "The radiation is getting stronger, Captain. The space tear is exactly where we thought it would be, but it's growing faster than we expected." Lisa walked to his station to look at the numbers. "How much faster?" "About 30% faster," Jack answered. At this speed, the space tear could get too big to stop in days, not weeks. Mary Davis, the chief engine expert, joined them. Her dark skin was wet with sweat because the ship's cooling systems couldn't handle the strange energy all around them. "Our shields are working for now," Mary reported, "but these readings are crazy high. Our practice runs never showed energy this strong." Lisa nodded, thinking about what this meant. "What about the planets that could be hurt by this?" Ron Evans checked his screen. 7 planets with people live nearby, Captain. If the space tear gets full size, billions of people could die. And is any help coming from the Space Council? At least 2 weeks away, if they've even started coming, Ron said with a worried face. Lisa took a deep breath. Earth had sent their best ship on this mission, but the Discovery was built mainly to explore and study things. It wasn't a fighting ship. What they faced was like a rip in space itself, a wound that would grow bigger and bigger until it ate everything near it. "What can we do?" she asked, looking at her main crew members. Dr. Helen Wilson, the ship's top scientist, stepped forward. She was in her 50s and had studied weird space events her whole life. "I've been looking at the data," she said with a steady voice. "The space tear isn't fully formed yet. There's a flutter in its pattern that shows a weak spot." "What kind of weak spot?" Lisa asked. Helen turned on the main screen, showing a picture of the space tear. "If we could shoot a special gravity beam right into the middle of it, we might be able to break up its pattern before it gets stable." Mary shook her head. "Our gravity beam makers aren't strong enough for that." "We could change them," Helen suggested. "Rewire the main power core to send energy straight to the gravity beam shooters." "That would mean someone has to adjust the safety fields by hand," Mary pointed out. Inside the radiation area, everyone got quiet. They all knew what that meant. "How close would we need to get?" Lisa finally asked. Jack checked his math. "Based on what we're seeing, within 5,000 kilometers of the edge of the space tear. That's almost certain death," Ron said quietly. Lisa looked at the space tear on the screen. It flashed with strange light, like a wound in reality that threatened countless lives. "Dr. Wilson, what are the chances your plan would work?" Helen paused. "My best guess is about 63% chance of working. But I must be clear, nobody has ever tried this before." Lisa nodded slowly. "And if we do nothing?" "The space tear becomes too big to stop in about 76 hours, and after that point, nothing we know could stop it." Lisa stood up straighter. "Start changing the gravity beam makers. Mary, put your best engine people on this. Jack, keep watching the space tear. If anything changes, tell me right away." As everyone went to work, Security Chief Paul Garcia came up to Lisa. "Captain, can I speak freely?" Lisa nodded. "The Space Council aliens have tech hundreds of years better than ours," Paul said quietly. "If they're not here helping, maybe there's a reason. Maybe this is a stupid mission." Lisa thought about his words. The council called us cowards, Chief. Said we run from danger instead of facing it. Maybe they're right. We do leave before hurricanes hit. We run from volcano eruptions. But not because we're afraid to fight. No? Lisa shook her head. We leave because we know some forces can't be beaten by fighting them head on. Sometimes staying alive means taking a different path. She turned back to look at the space tier, glowing on the screen. The council aliens are waiting to agree on a plan, talking about rules while the danger grows. That's their choice. Our choice is to act, even when winning seems impossible, even when we're scared to death. Paul's face showed he understood. So we're not here because we're brave. No, Lisa said with a small smile. We're here because we're smart enough to be afraid and stubborn enough to do something about it anyway. For the next 2 days, the crew of the Discovery worked without stopping. The engine room was busy as Mary and her team changed systems that were never made to work this way. In the science labs, Helen and Jack ran test after test, making their plan better. Lisa visited every part of the ship, talking to crew members, making sure they understood both why their mission mattered and how dangerous it was. She didn't pretend. The risks weren't real. They all deserved the truth. As the deadline got closer, Lisa called her main crew to the meeting room. Tell me where we stand, she asked. Mary went first. The changes are done. We've sent extra power to the gravity beam makers by taking it from less important systems. It's not pretty, but it should work, for about 10 minutes before the system burns out. 10 minutes will have to be enough, Lisa said. Dr. Wilson? Helen looked tired but determined. The gravity beam sequence is programmed. If our math is right, it should create a chain reaction that will break down the space tier's structure. And if we're wrong? Lisa asked. Best case? Nothing. Happens. Worst case? We make the space tier grow faster. Lisa nodded grimly. Navigation? Greg Lewis spoke up. I've planned the best path to approach. It will get us close enough while keeping us away from the worst radiation areas. Medical? Dr. Steve Adams shook his head. I've done what I can to prepare for radiation sickness, but our medical tools weren't made for this kind of radiation. Anyone who works directly with the beam makers will likely get deadly radiation. Lisa took in this information, her face not showing how worried she felt inside. We have 23 hours before it's too late to turn back, she said finally. I want all non-essential crew moved to the protected areas in the middle of the ship. Dr. Adams, get your medical team ready for injuries. She looked around the table. I won't order anyone to help with the final approach or the beam maker adjustments. Those jobs are volunteer only. Mary sat up straight. With respect, Captain, I'll handle the beam maker adjustments myself. You'll need at least one more person, Paul pointed out. I'll go, Jack said quietly. Lisa looked at her crew. These men and women who had volunteered for a mission that might be one way. The council aliens might call humans cowardly, but she saw nothing but courage in the faces looking back at her. All right, she said. Get some rest while you can. In 20 hours we make our approach. As everyone left, Lisa stayed behind, looking at the picture of the space tear. Its swirling pattern had grown more wild, as if it knew they were coming. We're coming, for you, she whispered to the image. And we're not running away. The Space Council room was full of noise. For 3 days, the 17 alien groups had argued and talked while the problem in Section 9 of space got worse. John Miller watched it all with growing anger. He saw how the aliens tried to look good. Instead of fixing the real problem, they're still talking about whether to send a team to look, Kate whispered in shock. The space tear will be too big to stop before they even send a ship. Ben's face looked serious. This is why big groups fail in emergencies. Nobody wants to decide without being completely sure. The leader's metal ball glowed to get everyone's attention, making the room quiet. The council gives the floor to the Crystal Alien Group, the crystal being stood up, shining as it moved. The proof shows the humans were right. A space tear is forming. But their action without asking us has made things worse. Our computer tests show their simple ship will likely make the space problem grow faster. John stepped forward without being invited to speak. Respected counsel, while you talk, the Earthship Discovery is trying to fix the problem. They need your help, not your blame. Help? The smoke alien swirled with anger. What your kind calls brave, the rest of the galaxy sees as reckless. Your ship is putting billions in danger. Before John could answer, the room's big communication screen turned on. The face that appeared was Captain Lisa Brown from the Discovery. Her picture had static, but they could hear her voice well enough. Space Council, this is Captain Brown. We are about 1 hour from trying our plan against the space tear. Our sensors don't see any other ships nearby. Should we understand that no council help is coming? The room got very quiet. The leader's ball dimmed a little in what might have been shame. Captain Brown, it said. The council is still deciding what to do. Lisa's face stayed calm, but John could see she was disappointed. Understood. We will go ahead with our plan. If we fail, I strongly suggest you get people off the 7 planets in the space tier's path right away. You have less than 30 hours before it gets too big to stop. The bug alien's mouth parts clicked quickly. Captain, our tests show your plan will probably fail. We suggest you leave and wait for properly equipped council ships. Lisa's picture became clearer for a moment. With respect, there's no time for that. Our readings show the space tear is growing faster than we first thought. Because your ship is too close, the crystal alien accused. No, Lisa said firmly. It started speeding up before we got here. Something is making the space problem grow. Something your faraway sensors missed. She looked away briefly, then back at the council. We're sending you all our sensor data now. Our science team has found what looks like an artificial pattern in the space tear's structure. Whispers spread through the council room as the data appeared on smaller screens. Artificial? The leader repeated. You mean someone caused this on purpose? The evidence points that way, Lisa confirmed. This isn't a natural event. Someone, or something started this space tear intentionally. Everyone in the room understood what this meant. A weapon of unbelievable power, able to destroy entire star systems. John seized the moment. Respected council, while you think about this new information, the Discovery is taking action. I formally ask that any available council ships be sent immediately, if not to help, then at least to get civilians to safety if the Discovery's mission fails. The smoke alien got denser, a sign it was very emotional. The humans dare to make demands? After putting themselves into a situation they don't understand? Not demands, John corrected. A reminder that we all have a duty to protect innocent lives. On screen, Captain Brown nodded in agreement. We're going ahead with our attempt no matter what. Discovery out. The screen went dark, leaving the council in stunned silence. The leader's ball pulsed softly. The data sent by the human ship confirms an artificial part to the space tear. This changes our thinking. Indeed, agreed the bug alien. If this is a weaponized space tear, our rules say we must respond right away. But who would use such a weapon? Asked the crystal alien. None of the space people we know has this technology. None that we know of, Ben said quietly. The meaning of his words spread through the room. An unknown enemy with the power to tear apart space itself. It was a nightmare that even the advanced council races had never really prepared for. The leader's ball got brighter. We will send response ships right away. All available ships with proper shielding are to go to Section 9. It will take time to gather such a fleet, the smoke alien pointed out. Then we must hope, the leader replied, that the humans' efforts buy us that time. On the Earthship Discovery, final preparations were underway. The ship had moved to the best position, close enough for their gravity beam to work, far enough to give them a small chance to survive. Lisa stood on the bridge, watching as her crew did their jobs perfectly. The main screen showed the space tier, a spinning storm of twisted space that seemed to bend light around its edges. Shield status? She asked. Holding at 87%, Captain, reported the weapons officer. The changes are working better than we expected. Engineering. Reports gravity beam makers are at full power, Ron added. Mary and Jack are in position for final adjustments. Lisa nodded. Open a ship-wide channel. When Ron signaled it was ready, she spoke clearly, her voice reaching every part of the ship. This is the captain. In 5 minutes, we will try to disrupt the space tier. All crew should be at emergency stations or in safe areas. Whatever happens in the next hour, I want you to know that each of you has done better than anyone could have expected. She paused, thinking carefully about her next words. The Council aliens call us cowardly because we respect the forces we face, because we plan, prepare, and sometimes retreat. They see this as weakness. Today we show them that knowing when to fight and when to run isn't cowardice, it's wisdom. And right now wisdom tells us this is a fight worth having. Looking around at her bridge crew, she saw determination in every face. Stand ready. Brown, out. In engineering, Mary and Jack worked frantically, making final adjustments to the gravity beam makers. They wore radiation suits, but both knew the protection would be small once the process began. Power connection secure, Jack reported, his voice muffled by his helmet. Mary nodded, checking readings on her pad. Safety fields adjusted to new settings. We're as ready as we'll ever be. Their eyes met through their face shields, and they understood each other without words. Neither had to say the obvious, that they might not survive this mission, even if it worked. For what it's worth, Jack said, I'm glad it's you down here with me. Mary managed a tight smile. Same here. Science boy, let's make this count. On the bridge, the countdown reached its final minute. All systems ready, reported the weapons officer. Gravity beam sequence locked in. Lisa sat in her command chair, hands gripping the armrests. Begin the sequence. In engineering, Mary started the power transfer. Energy from the main power. Core surged through the changed pipes, making the floor shake beneath their feet. Power levels climbing, she called out, watching the gauges go into the red zone. 70%, 80, 90. Jack watched the beam alignment. Matching the space tier's pattern. We're in sync. The ship groaned under the strain as energy built to levels its systems were never designed to handle. Gravity beam ready, Ron reported from the bridge. Lisa took a deep breath. Fire. A beam of concentrated energy burst from the Discovery's modified beam makers, shooting directly into the heart of the space tier. For a long moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the space tier pulsed, its swirling patterns becoming erratic. It's working, Jack shouted. The pattern is breaking up. Mary's joy was short-lived as alarms blared throughout engineering. Power surge in the backup connections. The system can't handle the feedback. On the bridge, the weapons officer reported, Shields failing, Captain, down to 42%. Lisa leaned forward. Keep the beam going. Give it everything we have. The ship shook violently as the space tier seemed to fight back, waves of twisted space washing over the Discovery with increasing strength. In engineering, a pipe burst, spraying super-hot plasma across the room. Jack pushed Mary out of the way, taking most of the blast against his suit. Jack! Mary screamed, catching him as he fell. Keep the beam aligned, he gasped. His face shield cracked and burned. Mary propped him against a control panel and returned to the controls, fighting through her fear. Beam holding, space tier breakdown at 47%, 52%. On the bridge, systems were failing all over. Red emergency lights cast shadows across strained faces as the crew fought to keep the ship working. Hull breaks on decks 3 and 4, reported the weapons officer. Emergency force fields holding, but we can't take much more of this. Lisa stayed outwardly calm. How long until complete breakdown? At current rate, 3 minutes, Ron answered, holding onto his control panel as the ship bucked beneath them. And how long until our systems fail completely? Ron hesitated. 2 minutes, maybe less. Lisa made her decision. Send all remaining power to the gravity beam makers and life support. Everything else can be lost. In engineering, Mary received the new power settings. Captain's giving us everything, she told the half-conscious Jack. Just a little longer. 3 months later, the Space Council met again for a special meeting. The huge room, usually set up to show which alien groups were more important, had been changed. The human group no longer sat at the edge as newcomers but now had an important place among the Council aliens. Ambassador John Miller walked in with Captain Lisa Brown, who had gotten better with help from Council medical technology. She walked with a small limp, a reminder of injuries from the Discovery's mission, but carried herself with quiet pride that made even the doubtful aliens respect her. As they took their seats, John noticed how things had changed. Where once, the aliens looked down on humans, now they were curious and some even seemed to admire them. The leader's ball glowed to start the meeting. This special meeting of the Space Council is now open. We have two main things to discuss. The formal investigation into the artificial space tear in Section 9, and thinking again about Earth's request to join the Council. Lisa leaned toward John. Quite different from how they treated us last time, she said quietly. John nodded slightly. Nothing gets respect like winning when everyone thinks you'll fail. The crystal alien stood up first. It didn't seem so scary now, even though it looked the same. The investigation team has finished its first findings, it announced. The evidence confirms what the human ship discovered. The space tear was made on purpose as a weapon test. The energy patterns showed technology far beyond what the Council has. Whispers spread through the room. This was very troubling. An unknown enemy with power to tear apart space itself was a threat unlike any the Council had faced before. We have found unusual energy patterns at 17 places across the galaxy. The crystal alien continued. These might be more planned test sites. The smoke alien's form churned with worry. This is unheard of. We suggest sending all Council defense ships to these places right away. The bug alien clicked its mouthparts. Yes, send ships, but send them smart. The only plan that worked was made by humans. We should study their approach. All eyes turned to the human group. The leader addressed Lisa directly. Captain Brown, the Council formally asks for details of your gravity beam method to share with all member fleets. Lisa stood up, standing straight and tall. Earth is ready to share our method, including the changes designed by our engineering team. However, I should note that our approach was made for the space tear in its early stage. More developed tiers would need different plans. You've kept researching despite your recovery? The smoke alien asked, surprise rippling through its smoky form. Of course, Lisa replied simply. The threat is still out there. Being prepared is essential. Dr. Kate. Wilson stepped forward with a data ball, a Council technology Earth had only recently learned to use. We've put together complete technical data, including theoretical approaches for more advanced space tiers. As Kate gave the ball to the Council's science team, John watched the reactions. The Council aliens were beginning to understand what they had missed before. Humans weren't just lucky survivors of a desperate mission. Their careful ways hid continuous preparation, assessment, and adaptation. The leader's ball brightened. This brings us to our second topic. The Council has thought again about Earth's application for membership because of recent events. The room fell silent. This was the moment John and his team had worked toward for years. The Council's first assessment of human culture found what we called cowardice, a tendency to retreat from natural forces, to evacuate rather than stand ground, to avoid rather than confront. We saw this as a basic weakness. The ball pulsed thoughtfully before continuing. We were wrong. What we saw in Section 9 showed a different understanding of these same behaviors. The human ship Discovery succeeded, not despite their species' ways, but because of them. The bug alien stood up, mouth parts clicking steadily. Our study of human history shows a pattern we failed to appreciate. Humans respect the forces they cannot defeat directly. They retreat before storms not from fear but from wisdom. They evacuate before volcanic eruptions not from cowardice but from practicality. And yet, added the crystal alien, when fighting becomes necessary, when lives are threatened, humans show remarkable determination. They respect danger enough to prepare thoroughly, but they do not allow that respect to freeze them. John felt proud. After years of being misunderstood, humanity's approach was finally being recognized for what it was, not weakness, but a different kind of strength. The leader continued, the vote has been taken. Earth is hereby granted trial membership in the Space Council. with full rights and duties. Applause, or the various aliens' versions of it, spread through the room. John exchanged glances with Lisa, both keeping their professional faces despite their joy. Furthermore, the leader added, because of the immediate threat posed by these artificial space tears, the Council proposes creating a special joint task force. This group will coordinate our response to this new danger, with representatives from all Council races. Given humanity's proven expertise, we suggest that Earth lead this effort. More murmurs spread through the chamber, but now of agreement, rather than doubt. John stood. The Earth delegation accepts this responsibility. We propose Captain Lisa Brown as the task force leader with support from our top scientists and strategists. Lisa looked surprised for a moment before straightening her shoulders. I am honored to accept, provided the task force can draw on expertise from all Council races. This threat affects us all. It will take all of us to face it. The leader's ball brightened in approval. Well said, Captain. The task force will have whatever resources it requires. As the meeting continued with details about the new task force, Kate approached John and Lisa. Who would have thought, she said quietly, that being called cowards would lead to this? It's not what they called us that mattered, Lisa replied. It's what we did anyway. 3 days later, the newly formed task force met for the first time in a specially designed chamber. Representatives from all 17 Council races, plus Earth, gathered around a circular table, a design Lisa had insisted on to show equality among all members. The bug alien, now serving as Lisa's deputy, clicked its mouth parts thoughtfully. Our long-range sensors have detected energy signatures matching the space tear at 3 of the suspected test sites. They appear to be in very early formation stages. The smoke alien, leading the science division, added, analysis suggests these formations are on a timer. They will activate in sequence, approximately 1 standard month apart. Lisa nodded, studying the data. Then we have a timeline to work with. Our first priority is developing early detection systems based on what we learned in Section 9. Next, we need to adapt our gravity beam technology for use by all fleet vessels. The crystal alien, heading the defense fleet, sparkled in concern. Even with modifications, many of our vessels are not structurally suited to deliver such pulses. Then we design new vessels, Lisa said simply, or create deployable platforms that can deliver the pulse remotely. As the meeting progressed, John observed from the side of the room. The same aliens who had dismissed humans as cowards now listened carefully to Lisa's ideas. They respected her not because she was fearless, but because she understood fear and how to use it. When the meeting ended, John found Lisa standing at a viewport, looking at the stars. Quite a change from where we were a few months ago, he commented. Lisa smiled slightly. The funny thing is, we haven't changed at all. We're still the same cowardly humans who evacuate before hurricanes and run from volcano eruptions. The difference is they understand us now, John replied. They see that respecting a force you can't beat isn't cowardice. It's intelligence. Let's hope that intelligence is enough, Lisa said, her expression growing serious. Whoever created these space tiers isn't done testing their weapon. The real fight is still ahead. John nodded. And we'll face it the human way, prepared, cautious, and ready to act when needed. Exactly, Lisa agreed. After all, only the cowardly humans took action and proved everyone wrong. In the vastness of space, unknown to the Council or Earth, a shadowy entity observed the destruction of its test site with interest. The humans had proven more resourceful than expected. More tests would be needed before the weapon could be deployed at full scale. But the entity wasn't worried. Let them prepare. Let them build their defenses. The dance had only just begun and the final movement was still far away. Back on the Council station, as the task force worked to prepare for the coming threat, Lisa's words echoed in the chambers. Understanding when to fight and when to flee wasn't cowardice, it was wisdom. And in the face of an unknown enemy wielding unimaginable power, wisdom might be the galaxy's greatest hope.